Chapter 2 Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plants. Here, flowering plant stands for angiosperms. Angiosperms are the plants which are able to produce flowers for sexual reproduction. So, lower plants like bryophytes, pteridophytes, and also gymnosperms do not have flower. So, what is a flower? Flower is a modified shoot meant for sexual reproduction. Now let us understand about the parts of the flower. So flower is made up of 4 parts: calyx, corolla, almarc, calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. So the first whorl of the flower is called calyx. Calyx is composed of sepals. The second whorl of the flower is called corolla. Corolla is composed of petals. And the third whorl of the flower is called androecium. So this is the androecium. So androecium is composed of stamens. And the fourth whorl of the flower is gynoecium. Gynoecium is composed of pistil. Now, let us distinguish these parts. Calyx and corolla are really not necessary for the reproduction. So they are called accessory whorls or non-essential whorls. Androecium and gynoecium are absolutely necessary for reproduction, hence they are called necessary whorls. So, we are speaking only about the necessary whorls for the sexual reproduction. So what are the pre-fertilization structure and events which takes place before the sexual reproduction? A bisexual flower. Here the term bisexual means it has both androecium as well as gynoecium. So bi stands for 2. Okay, bisexual flower has androecium, which consists of stamens, and stamen is nothing but male reproductive structure. Gynoecium, which is female reproductive structure. Now let us talk about stamens. A stamen consists of stalk-like structure called filament and a lobe-like structure called anther. We usually call it as anther lobe. A typical angiosperm anther is bilobed called dithecus, consisting of 4 microsporangia, which further develop into pollen sacs to produce pollen grains. Let us check the diagrammatic view of stamens. So this is a typical stamen. So here let us see the structure which is highlighted is the filamentous part. The filamentous part is attached to the base of the flower, that is thalamus. Here you could see the anther, and this anther is attached to the filament with the help of a connective. Now, when it is dehisced, when it is taken into section, so under the microscopic observation, the stamen appears like this. After taking the section, you can see the inner parts of the stamens. So, stamen consists of 4 pollen sacs. Let us have a detailed and careful explanation about the microsporangia. Structure of microsporangia. In the TS stands for transverse section. So in the TS, it appears almost circular in outline. It is surrounded by 4 wall layers called epidermis, The epidermis is the outermost layer, and the second is endothelium, and the third layer is called as middle layers. The last layer is tapetum. Okay, so the four wall layers are epidermis, endothelium, middle layers and tapetum. The outer three walls perform the function of protection and help in dehiscence of anther to release pollen grains. When the pollen grain has to release outside, so the wall of the anther has to split or dehisce. So which in biological term we call it as dehiscence. So when here it is dehiscence, okay, helps in dehiscence of anther to release pollen grains. The innermost layer, that is tapetum, nourishes the developing pollen grains. The cells of tapetum possess dense cytoplasm and have more than one nucleus. In young anther, microsporangium contains sporogenous tissue at the center, which undergoes meiosis to produce microspores tetrad, which further develop into pollen grains, which we will discuss in the next video about pollen grains. Now let us study the transverse section of anther. So when the anther is cut transversely, so you can see the parts like this. So in the center there is a connective. The connective is nothing but it connects to the filament, and the outermost layer is the epidermis. The second outermost layer is endothelium, and next to endothelium is middle layers. Middle layers is made up of about 2 to 3 layers of cells. They are nothing but simple parenchyma cells. And the last layer is tapetum. So these are the 4 layers of the walls of the anther. Now you can see the structures called pollen grains. Here there are pollen grains. Pollen grains are present inside the pollen sacs. The sac which comprises the pollen grains are called pollen sacs. So count the number of pollen sacs: 1, 2, 3 and 4. So there are totally 4 pollen sacs. So in a dithecous anther there is a 4 pollen sac, and in monothecous anther there is 2 pollen sac. This is one of the predicted question for NEET. Now let us study a microscopic view of the anther. So this is the same anther when it is taken a thin section and observed under microscope. This is the enlarged view of the anther. Now let us see what are the parts which we have to study. See, this part is now zoomed and you can see the wall layers. Yes, again the outermost layer is epidermis, next outermost layer is endothelium. See, observe the cells. Epidermis is made up of barrel shaped parenchyma cells, and the next is endothelium. Endothelium is hygroscopic in nature, it is water filled, and third layer is middle layers, and the next layer will be tapetum. The fourth layer will be tapetum, and inside the tapetum you can see the microspore mother cells. These microspore mother cells are the cells which generates pollen grains. Now this is a young anther. So young anther has to develop so that it can produce the pollen grains. The pollen grains are completely developed now and it is ready for the dehiscence. So now this is a mature anther. We call this as the mature anther. Now you can see there is an opening in the wall layers, So this opening is called stomium. See, this is the opening or the way. So this opening is called as stomium, and through the stomium all the pollen grains can disperse outside. So dehiscence of anther takes place after the complete maturation of the anther, and the pollen grains will be dispersed to air. So pollen grains are light and sticky, so they can easily disperse, and it can find the suitable stigma and then further germinate. Microsporogenesis. Microsporogenesis. Let us understand the term carefully. Here microspore stands for the pollen grains and genesis stands for the production. Production of microspore is called microsporogenesis. The process of formation of pollen grains or microspores from a pollen mother cell through meiosis is called microsporogenesis. So, what is microsporogenesis? It is a process of formation of pollen grains. Pollen grains are nothing but microspores from the pollen mother cell through meiosis is called microsporogenesis. As the anther matures, the cells of sporogenous tissue undergo meiosis to form microspore tetrad. Each cell of a sporogenous tissue is called pollen mother cell. So it is a diploid cell. So pollen mother cell is abbreviated as PMC or microspore mother cell, MMC. The microspores, as they are formed, are arranged in a cluster of 4 cells, hence the name microspore tetrad, or it is also called pollen tetrad. So after meiosis, you know that total 4 cells will be formed, so the name tetrad is given. As the anther matures and dehydrate, the pollen tetrads dissociate from each other and develop into pollen grain. So when the anther matures and dehydrates, dehydration means losing the water content, the pollen tetrads dissociate. They separate from each other and develop into pollen grains. So let us see what are pollen grains. Pollen grains represent the male gametophyte. So pollen grain is not the male gamete actually. It possesses male gametes within. So the name is given as gametophyte. So the structure which bears gamete is called as gametophyte. So pollen grain is a male gametophyte. Pollen grains are generally spherical and measuring about 2.5 to 5.0 micrometer in diameter. It has 2 walls, namely an outer exine and inner intine. So pollen grain is composed of 2 walls. The outermost layer is very hard, so exine is very hard layer, and intine is the second layer. Exine is made up of a substance called sporopollenin. So please remember this. This is sporopollenin, which is a substance present in exine, which is one of the most resistant organic material. It can withstand strong acids as well as alkali. So it can even withstand strong acid and alkali. So this exine wall will not rupture even if it is kept in acid or base. It is such a hard material. And see, no enzyme that degrades sporopollenin is so far known. So none of the enzyme can degrade this. Because of this property, pollen grains can be preserved as fossils. So pollen grains can be kept for any number of years. Exine has the prominent apertures called germ pores. Please remember this is very important. Wherever there is absence of sporopollenin, so that part is called as the germ pores. Wherever there is absence of the sporopollenin on the exine wall, so that part is called as germ pore. So pore is nothing but small hole. So this is the structure of pollen grain tetrad. First, what you are observing is microspore, tetrad or pollen tetrad. Since there are 4 pollen grains attached, so this spore, the 4 pollen grains are attached with the help of a substance called callose. So callose is a polysaccharide which helps in the attachment of the 4 pollen grains together. So there is an enzyme called callase. This enzyme helps in the separation of the 4 pollens and helps in detachment or separation of the pollen grains. Now you are observing one pollen grain. This is one pollen grain. So when it is closely examined, you can see 2 cells here. So 2 cells are like this. First cell is called vegetative cell. So vegetative cell is the largest cell, and the second cell is called generative cell. Generative cell has a prominent nucleus and dense cytoplasm, but it is smaller than the vegetative cell. It floats on the surface of vegetative cell. So I think all the layers are clear. The first layer is called as exine. This is our exine layer. So the first layer is called exine, and the second layer is called as intine. The second layer is called as intine, and inside the 2 layers there are 2 cells. What are the 2 cells? Vegetative cells and generative cell. So each cell has a prominent nucleus. This is a vegetative cell nucleus and the second is generative cell nucleus. So this is very important because generative cell is the one which divides mitotically and gives rise to 2 male gametes. What happens to the vegetative cell? So later on, vegetative cells will degenerate. Okay, and the function of pollen grain is it has to develop the male gametes. So male gametes are developed by the generative cell. Okay, hence the name generative cell. The only cell which generates the male gamete is generative cell, not the vegetative cell. Okay, let us stop for today.